สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome ladies and gentlemen to the last session of THAIFEX-Anuga Asia 2022 This is the main stage และนี่ก็คือเวทีกลางของงาน THAIFEX Asia 2022 นะคะจริงๆงานของเราเนี่ยทุกปีจะคึกคักมากๆเลยนะคะโดยเฉพาะบริเวณเวทีกลางตรงนี้นี่เองค่ะท่านไหนนะคะสนใจอยากฟังสปีกเกอร์พูดในเรื่องของความรู้ต่างๆนะคะทุกวันเนี่ยเราจะมีสปีกเกอร์รับเชิญนะคะมาพูดบนเวทีตรงนี้คุณสามารถเข้ามาใกล้ๆแล้วก็มารับชมรับฟังได้นะคะตรงนี้ยินดีอย่างยิ่งเลยค่ะ Ladies and gentlemen this is the last session of today THAIFEX-Anuga Asia 2022 we have two speakers who are going to come up and speak about technology in today's world technology is a great help not only in certain business but all business especially food business we need a lot of technologies to help with production and in other areas even in marketing technologies is a great choice and great help so if you want to learn more about AI system you can come closer and listen to our speakers who they are specialized about this topic so each day we would have a speaker and session every day. Today is the second day and here we go for the last session. The topic is called Driving the Future of Food Analysis with AI and ML. Lack of consistency in food ingredients in terms of sensory or quality parameters cost the industry millions of dollars annually. With the combination of sensor technology and pattern recognition, ProfilePrint's rice grain model leverages VIS-NIR spectroscopy to tackle the consistency of challenges. ProfilePrint is an AI-driven predictive and prescriptive profiler powered by a patented fingerprint technology which can rapidly predict quality and profile of a food sample within seconds. Verticals include rice grains, green coffee beans, tea flour, cocoa, oil, and many more. Join our session of a demonstration of how ProfilePrint's technology works on rice grains and green coffee beans, and how its combination of hardware and software can generate insight to maximize efficiency and agility, boosting business competitive edge for growth and resiliency. So, I'm not going to waste any more time because people are watching, I can tell, like they're all like staring on up to the stage. So I'm going to invite speakers who knows like much more than I do. You know, sir, just the introduction, my brain was starting to work. There are a lot of technical terms. So you must be very smart, you know, to be in this business and know a lot of these things because, you know, when it comes to technology, it's so technical, like the word itself, like, you know, technology. Okay, right then. May I please invite speaker who's going to come out on this session. There'll be two speakers, Kun Ellis Shaw, Chief Commercial Officer of ProfilePrint, and Kun Barnabas Yim, Data Scientist of ProfilePrint on stage. ขอเรียนเชิญค่ะ
Thank you very much for introduction. Afternoon, everyone. I'm Alice. So we're going to start a presentation with me, give an introduction of what we do, and then I'll hand over the mic to Barnabas, our data scientist, so he's the brain behind the whole company, and we'll talk more in depth of what is AI and machine learning, and how we differentiate ourselves from the rest of the technology out there. I'll begin with a introduction video so that everyone here is in line with what we do.
Ensuring the quality, consistency of ingredients and finished goods and shortening product development cycles is essential to any food business. Current methods can be costly, time-consuming, and heavily dependent on expert human judgment. What if there was a better way? At ProfilePrint, we aim to transform this process, helping all companies, big or small, and empower regular users to perform the role like an expert without the need for technical know-how or expensive lab equipment. Using advances in AI and sensor technology, Our patented solution creates a unique digital food fingerprint for each sample within seconds. Are you finding that the quality of your supplier is fluctuating from batch to batch? Deploy ProfilePrint at your warehouse and get immediate quality feedback of the incoming ingredients each and every time. Overwhelmed with product samples from farms all over the world and unsure of their quality or flavor? Build a profile prediction model and be able to estimate what each sample might taste like. This can be done on a laptop, tablet, or even from the phone. Have a particular taste profile a client needs you to match? Use our blend recommendation function to quickly sift through your database of taste profiles and find the right combination within seconds. Learn how we can help you transform today. Visit theprofileprint.com to learn more and get in touch.
Okay, thank you for your attention. So let me start. Who are we? So we are a Singapore startup. We started in 2017. And during this period of time, we're on low profile, right? We are researching and coming out with a solution that is applicable for the whole market. And through this journey, we won some awards from Cargill, from Mitsui Chemicals, from FBN, and of course some government grants from Singapore tech companies. And in 2020, during the peak of COVID, we launched our product. And during this time, actually, I wouldn't say it's a bad time because this is a time whereby, with COVID, a lot of sensory work cannot happen. And that's where we actually play a part in this whole ecosystem. So in the market, where do we play? On the left-hand side, you have your lab testing equipments, which are usually very sensitive, very accurate, but at the same time very expensive, and you need trained professionals to use. On the extreme right-hand side, a lot of suppliers or buyers depends on the certificate of analysis, which is a supplier document. So it is as good as what it says. So what we do is that we play in the center, whereby it's relatively easy to use and reliable at the same time. These are some of the verticals that we deal with. So tea, coffee, grains and seeds, cocoa, herbs and spices, liquids, food additives, and other dairy products. For the show today, we're going to talk more about rice, because we know that rice is actually a big part of Thailand. And I'll let my colleague Barnabas to go through with you what we do for rice and why our technology is actually better than the existing ones. Thank you.
Hello everyone, thank you Alice. So when we built this model for rice, we actually read up a little bit on the background for rice. There is a need for consistency in the industry because everything is affected, from the people in the restaurant eating the grain to the producers, and even at the milling and production levels. When changing the movement, it is the differences are more accentuated when during the processing stage. For example, things that people check are the uniformity and the amylose content. Why these things are being checked? The uniformity affects the type of the level of contact at the milling, and if it's not uniform, you end up with a little bit of foreign objects or unevenly polished rice. And when you check the amylose content, this affects the hardness of the rice, and this will affect people down the line who are producing starch and flours. So normally, you're able to fix this by doing a simple separation. For uniformity, they separate by density, by shaking the rice, and therefore you can fix it like that. But for other things, you need a more stringent check. So here comes the sensory panel. the panelists need to be trained to do a consistent report. And this takes time and money by the companies themselves. As you saw on the chart that Alice showed just now, this is very reliable, but also very costly. Not as costly as the lab equipment itself, but still on the high end. You're also relying on a single expert, and this makes it very hard to transfer information from point to point, such as a global company who deploys in different areas of the world outside Thailand and Hong Kong and China, let's say. You cannot transfer your sensory expert to all these locations and expect consistent results throughout. Yes. So on the other side, you have the lab equipment. This type of testing, as Alice explained, is sometimes very costly and requires specialized training to do properly. Otherwise, you'll be getting inconsistent results just by human error alone. Now this lab test, we have a variety of examples in the scientific field already. People usually turn to liquid chromatography, gas chromatography, nuclear magnetic resonance, all these well-known and well-documented techniques to help separate and deeply investigate what is in your ingredients. And they know exactly which compounds contribute to the sensory profiling, such as the flavor compounds of your green tea. But each test can only check for one item at a time. And this is where we look towards VIS-NIR. The reason why we are choosing this area is because what is measured in visible light to NIR range tends to be the overtones of your infrared spectra. This is good because all the information that we want is in the same place, but the problem is it is overlapping, and so it becomes a bit messy to interpret. For those who are not familiar, visible to NIR light uses the visible light that you and I can see, and the colors that we see in the rainbow are also present in the near-infrared range. In that range, you also have different colors, but just that our human eye cannot see them. We require a special light and a special detector to be able to see these and see the differences, just like a human eye will be able to see. And just like light interacts differently when overlaps, we are seeing overlapping light in the near-infrared region, which we need the specialized trained panelists to teach the AI. Another reasons why we always choose NIR in our technology, ProfilePrint, is because it is one of the non-destructive techniques. Other non-destructive techniques also rely on the electromagnetic spectrum, like the picture shown before. These include radar, sonar, the hypersound imaging, ultrasound imaging, they use to check the fetus, the baby. These are all considered non-destructive methods. And these are good because you can keep the sample safe and intact during the analysis. Whereas a typical lab chemistry analysis requires you to process the sample further, and that helps make the sample give a better measurement, but you have to destroy it, and that can result in costs to the company, right? Of course, when dealing with all sorts of spectrometry, in terms of food ingredient, there's often less sample available to test and to train the model than what we need for the AI to learn. Normally, when we're talking about AI and machine learning, the number 10,000 data points often comes up. But we do not have easily access to 10,000 different samples of food all the time. So we have to work with a small data set, and we're using different AI techniques to overcome this challenge. I'd like to introduce this case study that I found very interesting. It covers the analysis of rice using a handheld NIR spectrometer. And they are correlating this information to the sensory outputs of rice, such as the stickiness, aroma, and hardness. This is not a direct correlation in the traditional sense. Traditionally, it would be to detect the starch, typically at a certain wavelength, and then you correlate it directly to the sensory output. This one also leverages on AI using partial least squares method, and they managed to get a very good correlation between the scans that they got and the sensory panelist result. This is what a scan looks like. On the right, you see the process scan, which is the second derivative. This overcomes the common challenge for near-infrared spectroscopy, which is the light is different intensity at different points in time. So we have to clean up the data first before looking at it. So in this paper, they got a result of, we evaluated based on the R squared, and any value of R squared closer to 1 is actually better, it indicates a better model. For this paper, they got up to 0.918, which is very good, and shows promise for using near-infrared technology as an area to investigate sensory parameters. So going off this, we actually tried our own experiment in Singapore to try and correlate some parameters of rice using our technology. While the paper used a handheld NIR spectrometer, our setup is stationary, so we tried to improve the collection of the data. For this model, we are doing it on a home Mali purity. We chose this because there is already a set standard for Thai rice export, which sets it at 92% or higher, 80% or higher, and then below 80% is another category by itself. This should reduce the level of subjectivity in the Y labels. This is important because both the X label, the data being collected, and the Y label, the things we are trying to predict, must be reliable and consistent sources. So how we go about doing the analysis after the data collection is that we are taking the entire spectrum. If on the left side you will see the familiar peak to some of you, which is the infrared peak selection. Now this is a traditional way of analyzing an infrared spectra. Yeah. But in doing so, you tend to miss out a little bit of the potential patterns. Perhaps a different peak is actually correlating to your sensory information, but it is not the same compound that you're thinking of. Maybe it is not starch that is contributing to the sweetness. It could be a different compound that is unknown to you, unknown to science, but you left it out because it is not sugar. Right. Whereas we are taking a broader approach and taking the entire spectrum and leveraging on AI to detect these patterns for us. The algorithm will also output the weightages, letting us have a better idea of which are the areas in the spectra that contribute more to the sensory output. this lets us investigate slightly deeper into what exactly are the compounds that make up the contribution to your sensory output. So as I said just now, the AI needs to be trained. We can treat the models as a baby. They need to be fed, they need to be grown, starting from scratch. If I teach a baby only the word sweets, if I give them chocolate, they will not know the word for it until I train them to understand that these two are different and there are different nuances in language, in words. Similarly, we need to give the AI good data in order to train properly. So what is good data? Sampling is the main concern over here. We need the sample to be representative, meaning if I have a sample which has large, medium, and small, the smaller sample that I take should also include all three together. The labels for the Y labels, the ones I want to predict, must be accurate, and this helps by training on lab equipment or well-trained panelists. And the Y variables should be well varied, covering a whole range of what we want to measure. If I want to measure the whole world, but I only measure one country's ingredients, that is not a representative sample. I should measure everywhere. What then looks like bad data is where there is inconsistencies in your preparation. Even though you're using the best instrument, if the human user, operator, messes up in one step, that will reduce the quality of the data being fed to the AI, and the AI will have trouble learning and growing, and therefore serving the client properly. The environment where it is measured is also a factor, and if the labels are poorly defined, such as an untrained sensory panelist, then each time the interpretation is different, and that weakens the model a little bit. Therefore, the emphasis on good data is always important when thinking about training of AI models. So, back to the experiment that I said, we did a rice model on home Mali purity. How we built this is by taking some presumably pure home Mali rice from Singapore and contaminating it with white rice, which is often what you see in the traders when they want to maximize their profits. So we built it by blending our own in 1 kilogram bags at 5% interval, meaning 95% pure home Mali rice and 5% contaminated white rice. And we did that for 90%, 85%, and so on. By training on this, we managed to get a decent model at 21 data points only, with 96% R-squared and a test accuracy of 85%. Of course, this is just the start of it. We could increase the number of samples and make it more representative of the whole. And there's also a sampling issue where you can never know how many grains appear in your single scoop of analysis. This affects the industry as a whole, and of course you can't overcome sampling so easily. But on to the modeling. When we talk about modeling, you often see a chart like this. And we're actually looking for good clustering in the modeling. When we look at principal component analysis on the left side, you can see that this is fairly good clustering because all the three groups are separated. And this is what helps them. This is what we want to see when we see a working model. What I mean by good clustering is if you see on the left, the chart, you can actually draw a line between all the three colored groups. And this means that they can be separated by the model, and the model can use that to give me the prediction. what we do not want to see is if the three colors are all mixed together and I cannot draw a line through them to separate it. This means that if the model uses the line as a separation, it will mispredict, it will predict wrongly when the colors are mixed together. The orange is on the side of the green one. And this is why there is such an importance of gathering data properly so that we can then analyze where it went wrong in the model and then troubleshoot it. All right? Before we move on to a platform demo, it's like our technology, right? It can be applied in several areas. We have only shown you a few areas such as the quality check, and that is usually done using the PCA just now. By knowing the quality of your ingredients at specific stages, right? You will then be able to trace through your processes where in the processing stage there was something done differently. So let's say at the ingredient acceptance stage, you do a check using our platform. After processing, you do a check on the platform, and after shipping, you do another check. If you see a difference, let's say at the processing stage, and your ingredient is okay, and the final product seems okay, then you know that it's the processing that went wrong, right? And all this can be done by building things on the platform itself. We want to enable our clients to use the platform and scan for themselves. So we just train them to use the analyzer, and we train them to build the models intuitively on the platform. These kind of details Alice will be running through shortly, which I'll hand over to him right now. All right, over to you, Alice.
Thanks, Ban. So Ban talks about the hard part. So the easy part falls on me, as usual, right? So as you can see on the screen, our solution consists of two parts. One is the hardware, and the other one is the SaaS platform, where you can build your own model on cloud. You can access the model anywhere in the world, as long as there's internet connection. So when Ban talks about all this consistency, good data, bad data, how do we control, as much as we can, the good data, so that when we build a model, it gives us good prediction results? So I'm just going to show you a short video on how the actual capturing of the data is done. So in this case, we're going to use coffee bean as an example. So for anything that is inhomogeneous, we do provide several accessories to make sure that the volume is consistent every time. So if you're on a cup, so that's about 8 grams or so of coffee beans. Of course, when it comes to rice, it'll be a lot more. And then what you want to do is make sure that the surface is always consistently flat. Because if this is not done properly, high chance that the data being captured is going to be messy. And once done, just put it into the analyzer, close it, and then start scanning. So this is a platform. Here's some functions we can show you later. So link the platform, initialize the scan, name your specimen. You can name it anything you want if you are concerned about privacy. And this is real time, and this is how we capture one scan. And it's, you asked me, it's actually less than 1 minute to capture one scan itself. And that's how fast, the analyzer can capture ingredient molecular signature. Next. So this is the platform I'm talking about. So when you're logged in, these are the various modules that you see. Coming from the top, we have your ProfilePrint Hub, which we are working with coffee producers right now in Indonesia, Honduras, and Yemen, Rwanda, and other parts of the world, for them to grade their beans properly. Next, we have a quality control, which talks about pass or fail. Profile prediction talks about more of sensory products. Blend recommendation, with the models field, you can do a blend recommendation. Last but not least is the specimens. So what you've seen earlier, scans, are all stored here digitally, which means that you do not really have to store the specimen in a warehouse anymore, because they're all stored digitally on our platform itself. What I'm going to show you next is going directly into the profile prediction and the quality control. What models can you build? So when you open up quality control, you'll see that there are various functions. And when you click on Run Model, there will be models that you build inside there. So you can build as many models as you want, unlimited models. And then when you select the scans, in this case, these Indonesian beans are unknown to us, right? So the model is being built on grade 1 as a pass, grade 4 as a fail, and grade 3 as a fail. And when you click on View Results, this is actual prediction. You can see that grade 1 is a pass, whereas the 3 beans that you receive are all fail. So it learned from the human by giving it enough data to tell them that, okay, this is grade 1, is pass, the rest of grade are fail, and that's how you can actually objectivize the results itself. I'm going to show you a category model next. So category model is one step ahead of pass-fail. You can separate into different categories. So for example, if you have grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3, without knowing specifically what means grade 1, what means grade 2, and what means grade 3. So same thing, I'm going to select some of these beans that we received, pass through the model, and see if the model is able to categorize them according to what I tell them it should be. So same thing, I've got 3 grades, grade 1, grade 3, and grade 4. So again, this is live. So you can see, the first bean we predicted as grade 1. Second bean is a grade 3, and third bean is a grade 1. But you can see it's color-coded in yellow. With a confidence, which means the bracket that you see, 59%. What does it mean? It means that we are not very confident that it's 100% grade 1. So the humans still have to come in to confirm that this is a grade 1 bean. So it serves as a screening solution to cut through a lot of other things. The next model I'm going to show you is a sensory model. That means once you train the model well enough, without actual human testing, the AI algorithm will be able to tell you what are the different parameters like. So in this case, we've got 7 parameters here. So we've got flavor, we've got aftertaste, we've got acidity, we've got body, we've got balance, aroma, and overall. So within seconds, same thing, we can do the prediction. And all this can be shared as a report on a PDF. So in this case, just coffee. So I'm just giving you an idea what the platform can do. So it enable you to think of alternatives, be creative, and use our platform to serve your purpose. Every model built and all the data collected all belongs to the company, right? So when I say that, what do I mean by that? Because different companies build things differently, which means that if I'm company A, I assess this ingredient based on my standard. You from company B, you assess the ingredient based on standard. Your standard is not the same as mine, right? Even though we assess the same thing, which means that we want to keep it private. I'm not going to share you my standard. You're not going to share me my standard. But if I think that this is worth, let's say $100, I'm going to pay $100. If you think it's worth $105, you pay $105, even though it's the same thing. So that's how we enable companies to build their own standard in a way they want to keep it private. In our case, that I want to show you is a hub. So in this case of hub, we're talking about coffee beans. So I mentioned earlier, we do have a public model, and this says coffee, that we are enabling producers in different countries to grade their beans more objectively and in a standard that is recognized internationally. If you're a coffee drinker, you might be wondering, why does a geisha cost, I don't know, $90 per kg, why Robusta costs $1 per kg? It's because of this score, right? We're talking about SCA score. So when you click on it, in this case, is a coffee producer from Yemen. So they send the beans to us, we scan it, and without them having tasted it, we can give them the score. And with that, what they do is that they'll send this report to their international buyers. Because this score is not going to be from me. Because if it's from me, I'm going to tell you my coffee is the best, right? But when we receive the sample, we think, no, it's actually not as good as what you say. So what we gave them is actually an international standard that they can share using WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, or just copy the link. To tell them that, it's ProfilePrint who grade it, and ProfilePrint uses Q graders internationally to come up with this model. So in the sense, it becomes a lot more objective and a lot more trustworthy and neutral in a sense. So we're not stopping at just coffee, but coffee is just something we've done. So we are open to work with any associations or corporations who say that, okay, I think we need a certain standard. It doesn't have to be regulated, but at least a standard that everyone can agree upon, so that there's less biasness and subjectivity when you do buying and selling. So sum it all, we allow you to create your own AI. You do not have to maintain a big AI team. We do all the hard work for you. It's fast and flexible. So as you can see, it takes seconds to predict. It takes a couple of minutes to do the scanning. And the analyzer is portable, right? You can place it anywhere in the world and have the results shown to you at your own home, in office, in Bangkok itself. And it's cost effective. We don't sell the analyzer by itself. So it's always a hardware plus subscription service. So it's flexible. You can cancel it any time if you're not satisfied with the service. So to sum it up, what we do, we capture using the analyzer, we process it using a cloud, and then we give you the prediction in 3 steps. This is one of the white paper we've done on our website. So if you're free, go on our website and download it, have a look, on how we are able to predict green bean and come up with a taste of the coffee. So same thing, what we're trying to do is that how do we then scan rice and then give you a prediction of the sensory of a cooked product. And all these are possible because of what Ban has earlier explained, that they are precursors or the natural ingredient itself, molecularly they are different. So through enough models, we can train a model to predict the sensory part. These are some endorsements that we have gotten from our users. So today we're in 23 cities and 15 countries. So it's as far as Rwanda, Colombia, Brazil, and as near as, where's the nearest to Thailand? Vietnam. We don't have any analyzers in Thailand yet. So hopefully after this trade show, we can have some projects here. So thank you. We're at booth EE38, and do come visit us. Any questions from the audience? If not, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I would like to present you with souvenirs. We have a representative of Cohen Messe who will be presenting you the souvenir. May I please invite Kun Panatsarn Sukhantarat, Assistant Project Sales Manager of Cohen Messe, to present a souvenir. Presenting to Kun Elis Chua, Chief Commercial Officer of ProfilePrint, and Kun Barnabas Yim, Data Scientist of ProfilePrint. This has been a very great session, and we learned a lot about food analysis, with AI and ML. It's all about having technologies to cope us and boost our business. Thank you very much. ขอบพระคุณค่ะ Thank you. See you next year, sir. See you next year. Great presentation. ขอบพระคุณค่ะ So it's been over with the last session of two great speakers talking about, intelligence and system. It's very technical, but I think I learned a lot as well. Tomorrow is very interesting because we're going to start a day with panel discussion. We have CEO panel, plant-based, the future of food. Talking about plant-based, I think we are all learning about plant-based meat or even plant-based cheese. I learned from it yesterday. As part of a vegetarian trend or even a healthy trend, people are turning to consume more vegetables and I would say consume less meat. Not everyone, of course, but there's a few trend growing about this, and we have plant-based products coming up from big companies, medium-sized company, even small companies. So it's going to be very interesting to listen to them tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. here on main stage with CEO panel. It's a panel discussion. There will be 5 speakers on stage, 3 speakers with 2 moderators, right? Okay, I'll be here as well, of course. แล้วก็สำหรับทุกท่านนะคะที่อยากจะฟังนะคะเรื่องราวดีๆเกี่ยวกับวงการอาหารนะคะพรุ่งนี้สามารถมาที่เวทีของเราได้ตอน 11 โมงเช้านะคะเราจะมี panel discussion นะคะมีทั้งหมด 5 ท่านบนเวทีค่ะพูดคุยเกี่ยวกับเรื่องของวงการ plant based นะคะเป็นอาหารที่ทำจากที่เป็นเนื้อสัตว์นะคะกลายเป็นนำพืชผักมาทำเป็นเนื้อสัตว์ค่ะแต่ว่าจะเป็นยังไงนั้นเดี๋ยวต้องมาฟังกันเองในวันพรุ่งนี้ค่ะสำหรับวันนี้นะคะก็ผ่านไปได้อย่างดีเลยเราถามหลายๆบูธเลยนะคะว่าวันนี้เป็นยังไงบ้างนะคะทุกท่านก็ให้การตอบรับที่ดีว่าคนเยอะมากตั้งแต่เมื่อวานแล้วนะคะวันนี้ก็คนเยอะการค้าขายก็เป็นไปได้ด้วยดีการเจรจาธุรกิจก็เป็นไปในทิศทางที่ดีเช่นเดียวกันค่ะ I've talked to quite a few booths of how they're doing. They all said they did very well today and yesterday. There are so many people visiting booths, so many visitors, many customers, many future partners, and a lot of opportunities are growing here at THAIFEX. So I would say we're all successful. We all have a successful time here at THAIFEX event, and I met a lot of people coming to me and say, hey, next year let's do this again. Because last year there was a COVID and we can't meet face to face. This year we get to meet face to face, and that's the most important thing in building business relationship. สำหรับวันนี้นะคะต้องขอบพระคุณทุกท่านมากๆเลยนะคะสำหรับเวลาที่ให้เกียรติเรานะคะแล้วก็โดยเฉพาะท่านที่มาอยู่ที่หน้าเวทีกับเราค่ะขอให้ท่านเดินทางกลับโดยสวัสดิภาพนะคะ Thank you for today guys and I'll see you tomorrow